Class, welcome to another session of how to use Photopea to do some cool Photoshop tutorials. We are doing the comic project, so I'm thinking this is probably going to be a two-parter. We'll see how it goes. I'll try to limit the video to about 10 minutes, otherwise it gets kind of difficult to deal with. So one of the things you'll have to start with, and this is what the project looks like. I just kind of did a little practice run here, and you can see the dot pattern, the halftone dot pattern that is in the picture now. And as you zoom out, the dots do come together to form the entire image. So I use this picture that the yearbook photographer took while I was coaching swimming this year, and I thought it'd be a good picture to put a caption in and stuff later on. So the first thing you need to do is, when you open up Photopea, you can, have a picture ready, and I'm going to make a new file here. If I just drag the picture in, it should, hold on, let me get back to Photopea here. Photopea. All right. All right, so this is what Photopea will look like when you first open it up. And it does take a little while to open. I do realize that it works slowly, but here it is. And I have my picture. Mine is on the desktop over here, so I don't know how you want to, how you guys have been bringing it in, but I've been just dragging it right into the Photopea window and letting go. And it takes a second, and then there's the picture. The first thing Marty talks about in his video is getting it to be the right size for the filters that he's going to use. So image size is very important on this one. So in this photograph, there's a lot of extra stuff going on here. There's a couple of the swimmers on the swim team standing around, and the main focus is going to be me talking to this swimmer right here. So I want to crop this in. So I'm going to use the cropping tool first before I even worry about image size. And this is the crop tool right here. And you're going to select that tool. And if you click and drag an area, that's the area that the picture is going to crop to. So I'm clicking and dragging a box somewhere in this area here. I'm keeping in mind that later on I'm going to add a speech bubble or some talking things, so and some text and stuff in here. So I do want to leave a little bit of room around a picture for that. So you have to envision maybe a speech bubble and maybe like a little bit of text at the top here. It depends on your picture where you want to leave that. So I would leave a little room for that. Once you have the what you want to crop to, you can hit the check mark at the top of the screen to confirm it, or I think if you hit enter on your keyboard, yes, it'll also crop to that. So you may have to zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to hit on my Mac, it's Command plus, for you be Control plus, or you can use the zoom tool in the toolbox here to zoom in and zoom out of the picture. Okay. So I'm going to keep it right there so I can actually see everything. Once you have the picture cropped, we need to deal with image size. So this is where the pixel ratio becomes really important. So I'm going to go to Image in Photopea, Image, and down to Image Size. This is a really important window when you're dealing with creating documents. So image size will always tell you the width and height of your document, and it also tells you the DPI, which is the dots per inch. We're going to change this number first. I recommend 150 pixels for what we're going to do. So type in 150 here, and these numbers are going to change up here when you click off. So I clicked off to the side here, and the numbers changed. And now I'm going to take the biggest of the two numbers. So my picture is taller than it is wider, so the height is larger. If your picture is wider, then then the width is going to be bigger, and that's fine. So either way is fine. So if it's square, it doesn't matter which one you're going to change. So I'm going to change my height. So the larger of the two numbers, I'm going to change to 1000, and I'm going to make sure I click on the link so that it is tied in. Okay, so the width should also change when I do that. You want it to be linked. And now when I click OK, it will, it doesn't really look like it changed anything, and that's good. Okay, that means the proportions didn't change. If you click on that and the proportions, like you either got stretched out or squished a little bit, then I would undo and go back to image size and make sure you have it linked. All right, so that's the first step, is getting your picture set up. The second step is you're going to make a couple duplicates of your background layer. Now, in earlier Photopea projects, we used to bring in pictures that used to be smart objects. So if you do have that smart object icon there, make sure you go to Layer. It was smart object, and it would be rasterize or rasterize smart object. So it's rasterize smart object. So for some reason that doesn't seem to be doing that anymore. So I'm not sure if they changed that on Photopea's end or not, but whatever. So you could just make sure that it's not a smart object. Now I'm going to duplicate the layer twice. So I'm going to hit Command J and then Command J again. So each of these layers, Marty actually labeled them. We don't really need to label them. If you want to, if you just click and then click again on the name of the layer, you can call these what Marty did. One was called Color Halftone, and the other one was called Poster Edges. But we're going to have to do something different because Poster Edges is not in Photopea, so we're going to use something called Posterize and kind of do a little work around there. All right, and that's the first thing we're going to do. Now, you have 3 layers here. We're going to start by working on the middle layer. I want to turn the eyeball off on the top layer. I do not want to see the color halftone layer, so I'm going to turn that off. So I'm working on Posterize, and to posterize the layer, we are going to go to Image. So in Photopea, remember, you're going to have your bar at the top of the screen for what you have been, what your web browser drop-down menus. This is not where we're going. We're going right here inside the window, and then we're going to go to Image, and then we're going to go to Adjustments, and we're going to go down to something called Posterize ... And whenever you see ... that means it's going to open up a new window. And we're going to increase the levels, and you can see what it does here, right? It kind of breaks down the colors a little bit. So I'm just going to put the levels, either 4 or 5 is probably a good number depending on your picture. So I'm going to just go with 5 because it seems that's where it kind of wants to bounce to. And it just breaks down the colors a little bit. Remember, we're making a comic book style illustration here. So, you want it to break down the colors. They're not full rendered photographs. We want to make it look a little cartoony. So that's why we're breaking this down. And I'm going to click OK. And now that is taken care of. And that's our posterized layer. Okay. Now I'm going to click on the color halftone. Now I'm going to do this a little bit out of order from what Marty was doing. So you can follow along with Marty, but there's a couple things that I need to work around, and I'm gonna say it's a little bit easier to just deal with the filters first, and then then I'll make part 2 in it right after I'm done with this. So now I want to work on the color halftone. So I have to, not only do I have to click on the color halftone layer, but I have to turn the eyeball on. Okay, and this is a filter that is in Photopea. So we're going to go to Filter. We're going to go to Pixelate, and right at the top here it says Color Halftone. So that's Filter, Pixelate, Color Halftone ... That means we're going to get a window, and here it is. Now you can see already what's happening to your picture. And if you don't see what's happening in your picture, that means you did not turn the eyeball on in your layer. So cancel out of this and go back and do that. So once you're in here, this is a little bit too grainy for us. So I'm going to change the radius to 6 pixels, which is what Marty said. And that should make it a little bit clearer. And, you know, if you even want to drop it down to 5, that'd be up to you. Doesn't seem to make too much of a difference, but yeah, it's not bad. It depends on your picture. Like if this was a closer up version of me, like if my face was taking up this much space in the picture, I could probably stick with 6, but I'm going to go with 5 pixels on this. And I'm going to leave all these degrees the same for all these angles. That's not going to make too much of a difference in what we want. So now I'm going to click OK, and it applies the filter to that. So we have the filters on 2 different layers. I want to be able to see through the color halftone layer. So yes, I'm going to use a blend mode. So I'm going to change the blend mode from normal to, I think he used soft light. And boom, there you go. So now we have the soft light, allows us to see through the color halftone, and also the posterized is in the back there where it is showing through a little bit as a breakdown of colors. This looks like it would look in an old school comic book, and it's a little scary when I zoom in that close on my face, I know, so I'll keep it way out here. One thing that Marty did, and you might want to do before I stop part 1 of the video, is if I click on posterize and I want to make this a little more vibrant, let me zoom in a little bit without it being too scary. That's way too scary. But anyway, you're going to click on my favorite cookie. So I'm on the posterized layer now. So I clicked on posterized layer, and I'm going to go to my favorite cookie, which is the adjustment layer. So I'm going to create a new adjustment layer for vibrance, ... And under vibrance, ... you can take your vibrance, and I can boost that all the way up. And it makes the color a lot more intense. If you click on a different layer, it'll pop back out of there. And that looks pretty good. So for now, I'm going to save this because this is where I want to continue working, and it's important in Photopea to save all the time. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to do Save as PSD, and now it's saving it to my computer wherever it saves it to, okay? And this way you have a backup in case things go bad. All right, we'll pick it up from here in part 2, but so far, so good.